Hey guys, I wanted to talk about this story where you have a white woman in Florida. It seems like so much stuff comes out and happens in Florida, who had a lack of respect for a black officer. And I think we've seen a number of different cases like this. I recall vaguely a story that I did where you had a white woman cussing out and berating a black male police officer. She came out of a bar. I believe she was drunk. And she began to berate him, having zero respect for the fact that he's supposed to be in a position of authority, mind you, over her, and he's supposed to represent the enforcement of law in this country. We got into a discussion yesterday on a panel that I was on where, I made the comment of how you have many black men in this country who don't even protect themselves. Also, how the perception of black men to other races of people, not just to women, is that they're dumb, they're ineffective, they don't take them seriously. Now, while this woman may not be saying, she thinks he's dumb, literally, she's acting like she does, because this is the lack of, when you have a blatant lack of respect for a certain group of people, that it doesn't even matter to you whether they're in a position of authority. You fear no consequence that they can give you. It is a problem. Okay? So you have her talking about boldly, mind you, we're supposed to be in a post-racial society. You have a lot of black people who run around talking about how there is no racism, how we've somehow transcended all these issues of the past. I want you to notice how she had no problem even threatening him and his family with the KKK, saying that she'll burn them. She was recorded, okay? Now, I want to get into this story because it says a Florida woman was recorded going on a racist and violent rant against a black officer after he arrested her for drunk driving. Julie Edwards told Volusia County Sheriff's Officer Deputy Brandon King that her KKK friends would burn his family and that niggers should have never been let out of slavery, according to a police report provided to the BuzzFeed, which this is what it is, okay? Now, I want you guys to notice something, because keep in mind, this is a police officer, and whenever you see a situation where you have a black child or a black person who was murdered or harmed by the police, it's always a narrative of, I fear for my life, she didn't comply, whatever. Even though she wasn't killed, and you can just look at how gross she looks, it says she's facing charges of making threats against a law enforcement officer, resisting an officer without violence, driving under the influence, and prior refusal to submit to testing. Notice how nothing in her charges reflects the fact that this was racially motivated. She literally called him a nigger, said she's going to get her KKK friends. Nothing in here that would suggest at all that she would face any charges related to the racial terrorism she inflicted this police officer to. Mind you, if you try, you're going to be hard-pressed to find news coverage on this situation. You have a lot of places talking about Back the Blue. You have these Blue Lives Matter. However, this isn't even getting any coverage because you have a white woman making threats against a black officer. Imagine if this was the reverse. Black woman threatening white officer. That would be a problem. But these are things that our people choose to ignore and to not see. It says, responding to a report of a disturbance at a house in DeLand, Florida, King arrived to find Edwards trying to leave the property in her black Lexus, the report said. He immediately spilled alcohol on Edwards' breath and noticed that she was slurring. She was walking away from him unsteadily, the report said. Now, you have a lot of black people that want to focus on black crime and what other black people are doing, but they refuse to talk about or acknowledge this white crime epidemic that really they should be using to change the narrative, specifically the men, but that won't happen. Edwards allegedly refused to take a breathalyzer test or perform field sobriety exercises. She walked away from King after being handcuffed and resisted his attempts to get her in the police cruiser. Once she was inside the cruiser, Edwards began her racist tirade after King while he was completing the paperwork for her arrest. The Volusia County Sheriff's Office released edited footage from King's camera on Tuesday saying, "Before you go on a racist rant, just remember we have body cameras." Like really? But you can't find that footage. In the video, Edwards can be heard telling King that my KKK people will find you. Mind you, none of her charges reflects any of this racial attack that she went on. They know people like you, she tells the deputy. Hey, ain't a damn thing wrong with burning a cross in your yard, is there? She adds, you fuck with the wrong white people. Edwards is also heard telling King that his eyes will be poked out and that the KKK got your ass, boy. At one point, she says niggers should have never been left out of slavery. Again, she's not being charged for any crime related to race. And the fact that you have this officer allowing that tells a lot about his mentality. My KKK friends will burn your family, Edwards tells King. You should never be here in the first place. You ever been whipped on a whipping post. King took Edwards' racist and violent threats to be serious as he did not know her capabilities, according to the police report. Now, this is in a police report and a recording, yet she's supposed to be a citizen. She's supposed to be submitting to this officer. She goes on this diatribe. They haven't proved, it's not alleged at this point. None of her charges reflects this. And that's why I say the position of a lower level white person is above that. The power that they have is above that of even your black people in authority positions. Deputy King is of African-American descent and knows the history behind the KKK and the pain and torture they have caused and still cause to African-Americans today, the report said. Volusia County Sheriff Shitwood praises King's calm response to all the racist garbage this KKK enthusiast can throw him. So he's praising his submissive and passivity to this. But you had a man on Rand's panel talking about how other people see black men as passive based on what the women do. Doesn't have anything to do with this level of passivity, by the way. Doesn't have anything to do with them making excuses as to not protect their people and allowing these women of other races to, women and men, to walk over them, disrespect them, do whatever they want to. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with the way black women are talking to it. Edwards was not in custody after she bonded out of the Volusia County Jail, according to online inmate records. She was previously arrested twice in 2011 on multiple charges, including a DUI, resisting arrest with violence, battery on law enforcement officer, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and domestic battery, according to jail records. This is like, really? Like, seriously. This is the society we live in, but you have a lot of people who will sit here and say that I'm lying, who will sit here and say that I have rhetoric and propaganda. Meanwhile, this is the reality, and they don't focus on this. This shows that even black people who are supposed to be in positions of authority, they do not get, even the white person have more authority. She's already had battery on a law enforcement officer, probably another black one. This is a violent, vicious criminal with an extensive record. She gets to engage in this behavior. She's not dead. Keep in mind, Tamir Rice was dead within 2 seconds. Did nothing to anyone. But she gets to engage in this narrative against a black officer, and he's being praised for his passivity. But people are concerned about what I have to say or what black women's hair and makeup is doing. Trying to dispute that which cannot be disputed. But you guys let me know what you think. Thank you for your support. I'll see you in my next video.